Hey everybody,
We made it.
we made it. Hey Nick, hey Jason, hey everyone. I'm Justin. I'm here with Nick and Jason from Death Cab for Cutie. We're so glad to be here to talk about the film Drive Well, Sleep Carefully. First off, we will be answering some questions in a few minutes, so feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll kind of start picking through those in a few minutes. So feel free to just do that throughout this whole next 25 minutes, and then definitely remember just to hang tight after the Q&A. We'll be automatically redirected to the screening of Drive Well, Sleep Carefully at the end of that. So how are we feeling? How are you guys doing? What's going on right now?
We are days away from starting the fall tour here, so it's just the mad prep for getting out the door, you know. But yeah, I'm in Seattle and it's raining, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm in Bellingham, same thing, kind of prepping, getting ready, but it's very odd. I was going to ask you, Nick, same thing. Whenever we get close to a tour, it's like hurry up and get it started, you know. But
Totally.
I've been idle, and the days are getting, daylight is shorter. It just feels like this imminent thing is about to happen. So we're all psyched. We couldn't be more psyched. It's going to be the last tour of this album cycle per se, and so. And probably the craziest thing is we leave in the fall and all the leaves are on the trees. And as soon as we come back, it's an entirely different environment. So it's just crazy to think about.
Awesome. And maybe for anyone that doesn't know, like what's kind of unique about what's going on at some of these at the shows?
Well, this is the throwback tour here. We're doing Transatlanticism, start to finish, front to back. And then Ben is quickly switching hats and doing Give Up, start to finish, front to back. So it's going to be kind of an interesting show. It's the first time we've really married these two projects that he's been involved in together and presented them this way. And I'm actually really, really happy and proud to be a part of what he accomplished in 2003. It's a monumental accomplishment to write and put out two records that have connected with so many people. So our side of it is a really special thing. I'm really happy to be out on the road.
Awesome. Yeah, same. And to be playing these songs in the order of the album, just close my eyes and it puts me right back in the studio where they were recorded, and everything that was going on in our lives. Just the soundtrack carries through, and it's a very moving set for all of us, I think, especially looking around the room and sharing that stage with Postal Service and seeing Jimmy and Jenny there. I think it'll be a really special night for people.
Yeah. I'm just curious what, in announcing this tour and the response that you've seen. I guess have added shows in some places. I mean, everyone I talk to is just so jazzed for equally, for this event. Is there something that was that expected, unexpected? I guess from your perspective, how does that feel?
Fully unexpected. I mean, I think we were, optimistic and hopeful that performing these two albums together would resonate with some people, but I don't think that any of us thought that it would, warrant multiple nights in some of these big venues. And I mean, I think it's really, it's felt great to feel that kind of support. And to, you make these records and you send them off into the world. And, we've been really wrapped up in the new record and in Asphalt Meadows and touring that record. And to, you sort of lose, I think, a little bit of sight sometimes what some of your past work still means to people now. And it's nice to see that kind of play out in the way that it has. I mean, I think, we're all very, very blown away by the amount of support. I think it exceeded everyone's expectations kind of immediately.
Cool. So we're all about to watch this film, Drive Well, Sleep Carefully.
Yeah, this film.
And Nick,
your film, not just this film. Your film.
Yeah. Your document.
Our film. Our film.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting with you somewhere on this tour 20 some years ago.
Okay.
And you were literally like, man, 20 years from now or 25 years from now,
Yeah.
But you were not serious about it. You were not. You were like, but you were hopeful. It was like this hopeful thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe down the line, this is going to be happening. So it's super cool that we're actually sitting here,
Yeah.
chatting about it,
Yeah.
about to talk about it. But I thought maybe what we could do. I don't know how many folks that are kind of in the chat right now or that are about to be watching have seen it. I've definitely been seeing a lot of people talking about like, oh, I had this DVD, and oh my gosh, I lived with this DVD, or you know, just some really really awesome, beautiful comments about like, you know, not just the music, but having this film to watch of that time. But
Yeah.
maybe I thought we could just kind of set the scene a bit for folks of just like what was what was it like, what was going on for the band. You know, again, in whatever way pops in your guys' head about just like what was it like, and what was a little bit different at that point in time when I jumped on the road with you guys.
Well, you know, I mean, this is where I can, you know, shine some light on Jason. I think, you know, we had made this, we'd come out of making the postal, or the not the postal, out of making the photo album, and that particular record was kind of emotionally and for various reasons kind of a challenging to make for us. And then the tour that kind of we were on to support that also was a pretty heavy tour, and there was a lot of sort of moments during that particular era in the band where we were uncertain of what our future held and whether or not we were going to be a band and whether or not we really wanted to double down and commit to this thing. And then along comes Jason McGerr, who, you know, I mean, I don't want to say you complete us, but you did, you know, I mean, it was a moment where we didn't realize that what we needed was his presence in the band. I mean, you know, his skill level is clear and was never in question. It was his personality and his wisdom and all of the other things that he brought as a musician and as a player and as a friend into the group that really balanced out all of the energy that you know, Ben and Chris and I had, you know, been generating for the previous years, and we needed that. And I think, you know, we made this record. It was a, you know, a moment where we had fun making a record. We were very proud of it. We at that point didn't know what the record was going to do or how it was going to connect. But I know we were really excited at that moment to be in a band together, and we really felt kind of unified in this approach, and very hopeful for what the future was going to bring. And I mean, you know, we've said that in various, you know, interviews throughout time, but like I credit all of that to Jason joining the band at that moment. It really galvanized kind of our balance and really our focus. And so, you know, here we had this record. We were excited. We felt like it's really, you know, we were hungry to get out there and play, and we got a tour bus for the very first time, which was a huge development for us as a band.
You guys seemed very you guys, I did not know that was the first time you had a tour bus.
Yeah,
you were very comfortable with that tour bus.
You know, years of being in vans, I think we really had it was a struggle in the moment. Like there was this weird moment where we were like, are we a band that's able to take out a tour bus, and what does that look like? And, you know, we really kind of struggled with it, you know, morally and ethically and all the other ways. At the time, it felt really kind of over the top to have such a real lavish way of touring after all the years of being in vans. But then again, you know, we were just in this moment where we were like, if we're going to really live out here and do this and really take care of ourselves, some of the lessons we learned during the photo album tours were just, we need to invest in some self-care here. You know, we need to invest in some mental health. And that was part of it. So we kind of needed it. And we were ready to go. You know, here we had a bus, we were a full band, and we had this new record that we were really proud of, and let's go see what the world has to say about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I did one van tour with Death Cab, and it was, I think, just down to South by Southwest and back.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of recording in there too, if I'm right.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
For transatlanticism, but yeah, the key to the bus too is it was the only way for us to survive, to keep up with the schedule, and to make the drives work. And we were pushing into a lot of rooms that were bigger, that we hadn't played before, a lot of famous rooms, and it meant a lot to us to be in those places. But there were still spots where, it was a small room, and there's no room for the bus to park. And I mean, I'm glad that you were able to capture a lot of that stuff too. So it's good to hear you say, Justin, that we looked comfortable, like we'd done it before, because it was definitely new for us. But I mean, there's just one memory I always think about, is that when we played Trees. Was Trees in Austin, Dallas? Where was Dallas?
Yep.
And I remember literally there were trees, there were posts like in the like on the stage that we had to work around. And I remember playing Transatlanticism in there and like watching Nick try and negotiate around this pole, and like you and your cameras all set up. And I mean, it was the bus offered refuge and a place to laugh and talk about all that stuff after the night was done. And then you just woke up the next morning in a different city and you just kept going. But the momentum and the pace of that era of the stuff that you captured. I mean, I can't believe even the camera crew had the energy, because you guys were chasing us in a car, were you not?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's what's interesting. Like, someone asked, I say in a comment, like, had I been on tour before? And I had not actually been on tour. I'd shot my first music documentary. It was like a kind of a look at 10 different indie DIY punk bands. But a lot of that was, I mean, I did a little thing, like we'd follow someone from Los Angeles to Monterey Pop Festival or something like that, but nothing like what I was doing with you all. And so, I mean, if no one's ever done it, like, we were essentially the opening band that was in a van trying to keep up.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We didn't really understand that when we said, yeah, let's make a film, like, let's go do this. So
you guys were frosty a lot of times.
Yeah, I think that's just like, to anyone, any musician, any band out there that does that, and does that for however long.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's an intense. And then to have, like you said, not just, I mean, we just had to film, but to have the energy to get up and play a set, and then figure out the the after and the next day. Yeah, for sure. So, we're going to get to some questions right now, but, you just touched on something that, I know part of what I felt was, what I was focused on in terms of a filmmaker back then was this whole, like, I was really into DIY punk. I was really into, the idea of doing things for yourself, making things for yourself. And part of why we connected was because I saw your band as like doing that, but like taking it to this, having this success, but built out of your own blood, sweat, and tears, right? And that for me was why I was interested in documenting certain bands and certain music, was that. And so that was like, that was this moment in time where now we look at that idea, and it's just almost, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak to it because I'm not in a band, I'm not in that world particularly, but like it was such a different time. And that was kind of that was sort of the impetus for at least for me to get to join up with you guys. But it was like the perfect moment to be capturing and meeting up with you all.
Well, yeah. And, it was necessary to have a document of that. I mean, nowadays, the ability to document every micro moment on tour, it's never been easier. Everyone's got cameras, and the expectation is that you will, and so, we had years where we would go out on these, amazing tours and have these profound experiences as a band, and come back home and, just some whatever disposable cameras we had or still photos we had, and then us trying to relate what happened. There wasn't a lot of actual documentation happening of that. And so it was really, I think, a great time, like you said, where there was this moment where not only was, it was actually, there was like a lane for, young filmmakers to like pick up equipment and get out there and do it in a way that there hadn't been sort of that either permission and or funding and or ability to sort of do that. And it was, like you said, it was a perfect kind of nexus where your discipline and our discipline and what we've been working on really matched up, and it captured a good moment in time. I'm glad we have a document of it. I really am, because without it, that time would have sort of come and gone, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to remind folks, so please, if you got questions, just put them in the chat right here. We're going to jump in and see if we can find any right now. And then again, stay after the Q&A. We're going to all be directed automatically to the screening of Drive Well sleep carefully after this. So
Cool.
let's take a look at if we got any questions here.
Oh man, there's so many that are in here. I'm looking at them now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the film never came out on Blu-ray, just in case anyone was wondering. This is DVD, straight DVD days. So
we should lobby. Yeah, let's lobby for a Blu-ray transfer.
a blow up to 35.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get in that IMAX. Let's get that all that IMAX money. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm going through here. Someone mentioned MySpace. This is definitely you're in the pocket. With talking about MySpace in 2003, 2004, because that's funny. I mean, it's funny to think back to the social media that was happening at the time. Media, whatever. It was the beginning of that. Was a MySpace? Hearing about a band. I mean, that's where I'm pretty sure that's where I heard or read about the Postal Service. I didn't even know that it was Ben.
Oh, that was on.
Cutie.
Yeah.
But I had heard somehow through this website. So, okay, here we go. In the film, you guys talk about how robotic and monotonous playing the same songs every night can feel, but new crowds make it feel fresh. How do you guys feel about that 20 years later? Great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's definitely changed. I mean, I think there isn't this I think people expect from that it would feel robotic and monotonous, but it actually doesn't, because the music just feels so alive. And we really feel like each time we play the song, there's a new moment that I discover either in myself or I find a connection. I think Ben uses this quote, I think that Bob Dylan said at some point. I may be completely off base, but he said the best versions of my songs haven't been recorded. And I still think that about every time when we play. It's that, the album is just a quick snapshot of a performance, and that we've played these songs over and over and over again since then. And maybe the best version of it, we haven't even played the best version of Transatlanticism yet. Maybe we will on this tour. I don't know, but it's nice to kind of think about that as, these songs kind of existing in this living space where they kind of change in context, and they change depending on, your life experience, the listener's life experience. It feels like a real dialogue and conversation. So it doesn't never felt real robotic and monotonous then. It certainly doesn't now, this many years on. No way.
I agree. I think that each time we play them, I'm trying to personally dig deeper into performance and sound and what's happening, and keying into different people on stage and trying to almost make their hands and feet disappear in terms of time and feel. And I don't even think I would say in this last album cycle specifically, we got to a place as a band where we just found more enjoyment in playing the catalog than ever before. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I mean, there was a time maybe when we were grinding and critical of what was happening on stage and feeling like we could have maybe performed better, but that's kind of gone away, and we've really just been digging deeper, like I said, and appreciating each other. And I think that when you do that, it translates to the audience, and the audience, it resonates, and they give you the feedback you need to acknowledge that, yes, you did go deeper on this particular show or this pass. And like Nick said, even in rehearsals, as we're prepping for this tour, there is a different approach to playing Transatlanticism. It feels different this time. Yeah. And I mean, you'll have to show up to see what we're talking about. Hopefully you feel the same way about it, but it doesn't get old to me. If it got old and it was too robotic, we would not be doing this anymore.
Yeah, I believe that. So next question, which I think is interesting, Nick, just talking about obviously now, I mean, we have everyone's got a cell phone at a show.
Yep.
Clips are going up instantly.
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram, wherever.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, it's been almost 2 decades since this documentary was released. Any desire or plan to make a follow-up documenting touring these days? What do you think is the biggest difference? I'm just curious how.
Yeah.
I mean, just with that idea that there's just cameras everywhere now,
Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of sort of, you're kind of, there's a lot of it, it's sort of one-sided. Like the documentary that we would make as a follow-up would be the story that we want to tell, and not the story that people are seeing and capturing from the outside looking in. And so I think I think it would be a very interesting concept to to even think about what a like a part 2 to this documentary would even look like and feel like, because again, we are a band that I think is always looking ahead and always hoping for kind of a new horizon and thinking about our music moving forward. But I don't think any one of us has any sense of what's really ever coming next. And I think that it's, even being able to stream this today and go on this tour this fall, it's, like I kind of joked with you when we were making Drive Well, it's like to be doing this 20 years after the fact is mind-boggling, and then to be able to do it another 20 years from here, who knows if we'll be able to be that lucky. I mean, I don't know, but it does seem like a document of this time of the band is important. I don't know how we would even go about that at this point, but it's still, I think sometimes because there is so much expectation for extra content besides the music and the shows. I think that we feel a lot of pressure in the band to do more of that, but yet we don't know what to do. Like being on social media and being engaged with that is not something that necessarily comes naturally to us, and something that I would say we kind of shy away from purely because it's just feels foreign and not something that's a very comfortable instinct to pick up a camera. And I think that some people are able to do that phenomenally well and present themselves in a way and integrate the daily document of their lives and their careers in a way that I'm very envious of. I wish I had that skill sometimes, because it's a powerful thing to be able to harness. It's just something that we didn't really grow up with, and I don't really know exactly how to do. So, I think a documentary film would be actually more appropriate for us because we don't have the day-to-day, social media thing that we're doing or participating in,
Yep. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going through here.
There's so many questions.
There's a question here that I'm like, I don't know about this because there's some things. Let's see.
I mean, there's so many questions. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
I can jump on this one. Justin, I wanted us the DVD. You mentioned you'd gotten a second cameraman and a sound man. How did this come about so quickly when you were initially supposed to do one show? So, I mean, I think what had happened is we had linked up. Gary at Plexi Film had linked up with possibly Jordan, I assume, and talked about, hey, that we wanted to talk about the possibility of a film. And it just so happened that you were already on your tour. I was living in New York at the time, and I think you're going to be in Philadelphia. Does that sound right? A show in Philadelphia?
Yeah, that does sound right. Yep.
And so basically I pitched, hey, I'll come and we'll shoot something and we'll meet the band and we'll see how it vibes, like see what happens. Yep. And I got my friend Jesse Burden, who wasn't really he's a great photographer, but he wasn't like a film guy. I know. If anyone doesn't know Jesse, Jesse's amazing. And Jesse said he would go on this trip, and I was actually moving from New York back to LA, so I was already going to be doing this trip. And we met. I think we met at a venue in Philadelphia. We filmed, and then I think it was pretty chill. It was pretty. Not much happened. Yeah. I don't think it was like a big thing, and it was like, yeah, hey, you guys are welcome to just join us on the road. And I think 4 days later, we had film and another film camera. Yeah. And it just went from there. And so we had a sound person. Yeah. But, I think my idea with shooting on film was that at the time, the best you could do at a lower budget level was mini DV, which was basically video. I mean, it was just not good looking video. And there were a lot of films that came out that, documentaries, and that's what they were shot on. And that you just had to accept that visually you weren't seeing anything that you're gonna be that excited about. So I was just like, I had this idea to just give ourselves some parameters by shooting on film, but also hopefully make something that just visually was you know, beautiful to watch and not fit with the music. But yeah, it was a little crazy. I don't know I don't know if you all even knew this. So we shot on film and we didn't get a chance to process anything. We hadn't seen a lick of footage until we all got to Seattle.
Yeah, actually, I remember you. Yeah, I remember when you first got to look at it. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I was like, I remember being like, I hope there's something here because this would be a real bummer if not.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't that exciting though? I mean, it was like
it was super. I remember that.
Yeah,
but that's a testament though. I mean, that's a good way to work for anybody. Like, don't overthink the process. Just like capture everything that you feel is important. Like, document as much as possible and take inventory later. So I'm glad that you did that. You didn't even have time anyway. You had to get in the car and drive.
Just had to go. Well, listen, guys, we're kind of getting towards the end of this. Not the end of our Q&A.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll take one last question, then we'll say our goodbyes, and then we're going to be redirected to the film starting.
Fun.
Try to find something quick here.
What was my hair care regimen circa 2003, Chris? Dying to know. It was an abomination. It was an embarrassment, and I'm really sad that I can't get away from that time.
Oh man!
But all you can do is just move forward in time. No regrets.
Probably a lot of fashion faux pas here.
Yeah, exactly.
No regrets. Yeah,
exactly.
No regrets.
Someone asked about deleted scenes. There are deleted scenes on the DVD. I think there were some extras that we put in.
Yeah.
Jason, maybe your drum regimen, I think, made it on there.
Oh, that's right. I think somebody even put on a question there, like, why do we throw in an independence exercise? I don't know. I think I was teaching in a music school, kind of like just before tour kicked off.
You were teaching,
Justin wanted to go see where all that magic happened, and I just did some weird stuff. That's all. It had nothing to do with music or the songs or anything. It was just a weird little clip, but just pulling back the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some deleted scenes and things that we knew. There were moments that I think certain film. Like, I know there was a moment in Texas where it was raining, or there was just some really bad technical things happened for you guys. Before a show. Yeah, and it's like that kind of thing where, like, is that a story? Is that a moment? Like, do we grab this? But we already knew enough and had enough trust that we're like, this isn't what we're doing here.
Totally.
Even though, like, it was a pretty interesting night. Well, hey, listen, let's I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity 20 years ago to hang out with you guys, and I can't wait to watch this. So I'm saying my goodbye to you guys, and also just a reminder to folks, like, just stay behind right now. We're going to be redirected to the film. We'll start, and then I'll let Nick and Jason kind of wrap this up.
See you when you come through, Jason or Justin. It's been a minute.
We'll see you in LA. Thanks everybody for
and thanks to everybody for chiming in on the comments. I wish we could have got to all the questions, but they were all great, so I appreciate the support. Thank you.
So if everyone wants to just hang tight, we're here a couple of minutes out. Maybe there's that last thing I can pick through here.
All right, I'm out. See you later, guys.
All right, Nick, have a good one.
Bye.
All right, Justin, we'll see you in LA, and we'll see everybody else on the show.
Bye, guys.
See ya.